All right, fellas, we have the new standings out from the second sim, so let's go ahead and take a look. First and foremost, okay, the most important thing to point out from this sim, look at that, okay? The Orlando Magic did not lose a game this sim. They're on a 25 game win streak. The all time NBA record for win streak is 33 games, so we'll probably try to keep an eye on that for whoever's simming the third sim and see if they actually can beat the 33 game win streak. But obviously, they have Asor, they have DeJounte Murray, Şengün, Hamilton, Pessoa, who is in his fourth year, putting up very good numbers. The second spot, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers with LaMelo. Bulls stay in the third spot. I know they made some moves. Excuse me. The Hawks, rather, are in the fourth spot with Anthony Black and a lot of young regens. The Wizards actually having a solid season up there in the fifth seed, so that's good for them. The Nets are in the sixth spot with Jalen Green and Paulo. Then we have Philly, Charlotte, Milwaukee, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Pistons, the Raptors, the Heat, and finally the Pacers at 12 and 20. Out west, we have the Mavs in the one spot with Scoot. My point differential went down a lot, though, that sim. That's not good. I think so did Portland's, though. Josh Giddey is in the two spot. Let me mute my phone. In the three spot, we have the Jazz here. I think they climbed a little between sims. Luka and Moss. Then we have the Nuggies in the fourth spot with Wemby, obviously. The Warriors, despite having the second best point differential in the West, are all the way down there in the fifth spot with Jabari, Fox, Brandon Miller. The Lakers climbed a lot, I believe, to the sixth spot. They're on a 2-game win streak, but I remember them being like the 10 seed or something after the first sim, so that's crazy. Then we have Houston, the Suns, the Grizzlies, Sonics, Wolves, Outlaws, Spurs, Thunder, and the Kings, who are not the worst record in the league anymore. That they're actually, wow, they actually have the fourth lowest wins, or even fifth. That's so weird because the Thunder have 13 wins, but they do still have the worst point differential. Let's check out the league leaders in stats. Looks like Zion is leading the league in points, followed by Scooter, Wemby, Rodney Andrews, LaMelo Ball here, Keontae, SGA, Ivy, Giannis, Amen Thompson rounds out the top 20. For rebounding, it's Mobley for the Knicks. Assists, it's LaMelo still, who's led the league in assists almost the entirety of his career, I believe, and he's still only 29. For steals, Brandon Miller and Cason Wallace are tied, with Anthony Black very close behind, so that's kind of a three-way race. Same here with blocks, it's almost a four-way race. Kessler, Robinson, Wemby, and Claxton. Turnovers, Scoot leads the league. Fouls, Gary Adkins. Field goal percentage is Jalen Duren. Wow. Scoot Henderson is up there, the 10th in field goal percentage. That's crazy. 3-point percentage, it's Raul Morales, who is in his fifth year. He's on the Wizards this year. Wendell Moore is in second. Devin Booker, Derek Whitehead. Let's take a look now at draft picks. And then I'll try to show player extensions next. We'll show upcoming free agents as well. I don't know if I showed that already in a previous video. But we are going to play out through this free agency before we do Menace Mania or anything, just because we also want you to be able to control who your team signs in the interest of like the Super Sim and whatnot. So just a quick look. Looks like Kessler will be the top unrestricted free agent, followed by Towns, Ivy, Trae Young. Obviously, some of these could change if those guys want to extend between now and then. So let's take a look at extensions here. We'll start with Philly. Wiseman, Melton, and John Collins will all extend for them. Looks like Rick Mullins will extend for Chicago. He's an 81 overall, putting up pretty good stats on good shooting per 36 for sure. LaMelo, Zubac, Russell, and Nembhard for Cleveland. Michael Porter Jr. will take a minimum for Boston. Edwards and Pokuševski. Keontae wants 21 from Memphis. RJ Barrett, Lana, and Anthony Black for the Atlanta Hawks. Johnny Davis and Brandon Boston for the Heat. Dort and Nikita for the Hornets. For the Jazz, Clowney, Luka wants 48, and Jaren Jackson Jr. will still take an extension. Mel Pierce for the Kings, who is putting up pretty decent numbers. I mean, you'd like to see his shooting a little higher. Kenyon Martin Jr. and Trae Young for the Knicks will take an extension. A lot of guys here for the Lakers. Nobody for the Magic, nobody for the Mavs. Sensabaugh, Pod, Travis Garner. For the Nuggets, Josh Green, Denny Avdia, and Jordan Poole, who wants a minimum. I guess it's a 76 overall. Jamal Murray will take a minimum for Indiana. Cam Johnson says he's going to retire. Bro's a 72 overall. Josh Christopher, Cat is still willing to extend to try to avoid free agency. Ivy as well will extend if you want to not lose him to free agency, potentially if you're the Pistons. Kobe Buffkin will extend for Toronto. Nobody for Houston. Killian Hayes for San Antonio. Looks like Wallace and Miles Turner for the Suns. For the Thunder, Malachi Branham and Ben Shepherd. Nobody for the Wolves. Kelly Oubre wants a minimum for Portland. Markkanen wants 22 for Golden State. And then finally, Halliburton, Randall, Franz Wagner, Matthew Kennedy, and Mikal Bridges all will re-sign for the Wizards, who are having a surprisingly decent season after sort of being stuck in more or less mediocrity for the last few years. I'm going to sit back in the chair and go through these. So, looks like a lot of people shooting decently from 3 on Milwaukee. For Chicago, here we have SGA putting up 23. LaMelo averaging 25 and 10. I don't know how he's not at the top of the MVP race for Cleveland. Lauren Barnes 19 and 10 with almost 6 assists per game for Boston. So if I were Boston, I would definitely try to build around that fellow before the Super Sim comes along. The Grizz, who I don't really know what direction this team is going. It's kind of just chilling there. Heat here, Bones Highland putting up 16. I think he's the Heat's leading scorer. Yeah, look at that. At an 81 overall. Rodney Andrews for the Hornets, who is one of the best scorers. I know Menace sent some images in the Discord of people who like broke records for their teams, and I think Rodney Andrews already has one of the best 5 scoring performances of all time for the Charlotte Hornets, so that's good for him. The Lakers, who had a much improved second sim. Hopefully they can make another run in the playoffs. Zion averaging 29, 7, and 6. Another crazy year. This team hasn't lost a game. I mean, acquiring Ausar Thompson was just a great move by them. Şengün is playing pretty dang well as well. Although not shooting that great from 3. But hey, playing good everywhere else. A lot of good 3-point shooting on the Mavs. All above 40%, like 5 or 6 guys. For the Nets here, Jalen Green having another very good season, shooting basically 50% from the field. That's what you want to see out of him. Wemby having a fantastic season, shooting at 45% from deep. The Pacers here, Trevor Mercer, I believe, what was he, the number 1 pick, a couple of years ago. He's putting up 14. He still has a long way to progress, though. He's an 80 overall right now. For the Outlaws, Towns is having an okay season, 17 points. Nick Smith Jr. is really their star player still. Ivy is the star player of Detroit. Hopefully they'll extend him and not let him potentially walk in free agency to someone like San Antonio, who's going to have a lot of money to spend this offseason, and almost certainly they're going to spend it. 3 guys averaging more than 20 for Houston. Dorincas averaging 20 for San Antonio. It's a 91 overall, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. 6 rebounds is pretty insane for a 6'2 guy. I'm not gonna lie. The Suns being sort of carried by Colin Freeman, although they also have Jared Allen, who's never gonna steer you wrong. Here's the Thunder. Did they play their guy this time? Who was their guy? I forget. They got Embiid. I kind of forget who their guy was that he's super excited about. Maybe it was Florin Busca. Nope, definitely not. Who was it? I want to find this guy now. Damn it, dude. It was Keith Grant, right? Yeah, Keith Grant. He's putting up 13 for 36. I mean, shooting it surprisingly well from the field. That's one of the most important things. He probably just needs some time to develop. For the Wolves here, Hendricks 19, Steve Barber, who was the 8th pick in 2027. So still a lot of guys from that 2027 class playing extremely well. I forget what that 2027 class was rated. There's a lot of guys who are shooting it really well from the field. I know previously a lot of regens that we had were shooting it somewhat horribly from the field, and so it's good to see that whole class generally shooting it well. Alright, I think salary cap breakdown is the last thing here. And this is going to be, is it going to be your last time to make trades before the Super Sim? I guess theoretically you'll be able to make some trades during free agency. But like I've said, we're going to go back and we're going to finish out this season, do free agency, so you can make some trades then that will stick for the Super Sim, and then we're going to basically make 2 copies of the file. Play 1 year of Menace Mania, then go back to 2031 and play out the Super Sim on a big live stream. And we'll sim, I don't know exactly how many years. We'll kind of just see what the vibe is in the live stream. I mean, we'll definitely go at least probably 5 years into the future, maybe even more. Like if there's people who want to see, oh, I want to see how my team does 2 more years in the future. Like we might be able to sim 7, 8. I would say we're definitely not going to go more than 10 years, but somewhere in that range, between 5 and 10 years, depending on the interest level for that. There's that Mobley contract. I'm going to say that every time I see this contract. Lakers have a lot of guys coming off the books. I know they have a few guys who want to extend, so hopefully their GM can get on that. The Mavs are basically set for like the next few years, with the exception being Jalen Duren. Pretty much other than him, it's like the team is crazy locked up. The Nets, on the other hand, have a ton of guys coming off their books this offseason. Hopefully, speaking as the GM of the Mavs, I can retain Duren in free agency. I know he said he wanted to test free agency, and he's always been a nice little whiny fellow. But hopefully I can retain him, because if so, I'll definitely win a ring in the Super Sim. I think. Probably. Rockets are $60 million over. They have Bobby Portis on that 1 year, $20 million deal. The Spurs, obviously with $55 million in room still. a few player options next season, but generally, and they're going to have to pay Derinkas, so they're definitely going to want to spend the money this offseason, I believe. Preferably, if they can time it right, preferably spend it before paying Derinkas, because they're allowed to go over that salary cap to pay him. So, preferably when they're writing up their free agent instructions, spend the $55 million and then pay your guys who are restricted. That would get maximum value. Warriors have most of their guys locked up next season, aside from Koloko. Wizards have a few guys coming off their books potentially, but I know some guys are willing to extend. I think that is it. Here's the award bases really quick. I know these were shown in the Discord. Scoot leading the MVP, Zion and Şengün for the Magic. LaMelo is in second. I did say I think LaMelo deserves it. Sir Dominic Leday, who was the third pick last year, leading for Rookie of the Year right now. Who is this? This first pick of the second round is second. I mean, that just shows you that your second round picks are not necessarily worthless, especially if they're high picks. Round 1, pick 2, round 1, pick 1, 2 years ago. What? So why is he in Rookie of the Year when he was drafted in 2029? I guess because he just didn't play last year for Indiana. Pretty wild of the Pacers to not play their high pick for an entire season, but hey. Jermaine Terrell for 6th Man of the Year for San Antonio. Kuminga, Jens Hasselhoff, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Roy Carney. Defensive player looks like Mobley is probably going to take it, although Wemby has an argument as well. He's getting more blocks. Rebounds count, though, so. Tatum, I'm surprised to see Tatum in there. For most improved, Roy Cartwright. Yeah, that's a heck of an improvement right there for sure. Jens Hasselhoff, Adolph Hines Allen, who is not looking like the best of players right now. If I remember right, this guy was sort of promised as a passer playmaker, so hopefully he can continue to make strides towards that. Clutch player, Colin Freeman, Jalen Green, Rodney Andrews, Trae Young, John Morant. And that about does it. Sort by points per game, check some quick team stats here. The top 3 teams are the top 3 scorers as well, which is interesting. Although the Magic have a seemingly better, much better defense than the Cavs or the Mavs. Certainly incrementally better. I don't know if I would say much better. Maybe slightly better than Cleveland and more better than Dallas. But field goal percentage looks like the Magic. I'll scroll over one more time and show some more stuff. I usually go to... I'll go to bench points here so you can see. And I'll sort by assists. So the Cavs are leading the way in terms of assists. And the least assist team is going to be the Sacramento Kings. Only 18 assists per game compared to 38. That's a 20-point difference. Lakers have the best bench. Hornets have the worst bench. I'm surprised the Magic have the second worst bench. So it looks like that's kind of their one weakness. But yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. Yeah, we're at almost 20 minutes, so I'm going to stop the video. Thank you so much for watching. Third and final sim for this season, for the trade deadline and everything, is on Friday night. And we will see you then. Bye-bye.